Hello, assalamu alaikum. Jibe raba dawo da nal tendu nal jay nal bismillah atal mi alna ko bitending album fe ni temmo ni na Gambia banko gang anim banko e bandala akita nyo kontan ko bari pour kamro nan bi kanani kacha ke mi alna ko abadending the political parties whether they are ready or not ahead of December election. We have a couple of months to go, and then it is very, very important that we have a discussion around that. But janum baduna kachanyin kono mba jiberal tendula banko kangani banko e bandara. So to minal na ko wala ba United States, America, Netherlands, Italy. These are the top followers of our program. I do not even know. Maybe Wonderfy is the one that is sharing our program in Netherlands, but you will be curious to know that Netherlands is third in ranking. I cannot even understand. Kabinla Dasbodo Njibe, yeah. So we are grateful. If you are watching us on TikTok, thank you. You can follow us. If you are watching us on Facebook, you can share. If you are watching us from YouTube, please you can subscribe to this channel if you haven't, especially if you really love what we do. Wanifa, janin badu na kachanyin kono mba mbia bula yenin jibera le nyokondo dok bulo mutet na demanding janding aba lola time o minna. Ibisimila program once again.
Yeah, Baraka Bake. Thank you, Job. Thank you for having me. Nye kondo Bake ngana brother fana Omar. Ali ada tinyamen days follow ay nyawo because yalong internet wala fa consistency la Bake. And makere nyawnya alman kibir ka fuko lungolo minala lokon which is also very very good. It may not be that fast but aka grow le. Niye okay wrong internet wala fa consistency la Bake. So adung funding kelu naru nungo ebe open rempuka conversation osoto bankola kola many alango kalamuda akumara bagel to have those voices nimbe ngande membe kala wala mbe tara comment section ko mbe kamvari ngamol je many alango wala kalamuda roman fenge bage they will control the narrative because they have their influence, you know, and they alone ni jaman la media be nyame. So katul mo flow je many alango ale ñu mu dal ba ñu programme mo fenge kam alba sambaga that is very welcome in kaduale tebe camion la jere fo ansal so yirwani nyatu dala je. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much, wonderful. It's a pleasure having you once again. This is the second time or third time based on the program on YouTube kaja. But be kachanying our different dimension natala. Barring common demanding kachanying ka tuku kukilin kufla lakam. But being bakachala kula mi anaka dending United Democratic Party la wala mi party minto. But janim baduna kachanying kono afamole wonderful bada muntole. Once again, especially in the new follower and in wonderful abasabatrin sade jamale and what jamale dun the political kon and mu hamele dundi ka dun political kon.
Well, thank you, Umar. Ndamu jaram wolti. Bonan bread. Mbota jara but nsida baga combo dame wala brigama le brinara senior school nsida brigama le nga brigama nsida jabar nga je kanu baga brigama dia la jobag and nga sometimes fana spend na wele nga because nara graduate ultimately Muslim high school le menum karamola no Muslim high le graduate tawoldo nga Gambia college start Gambia la nga 2 years le HTC but man na complete then nga complete yamen na ya tula ending ma fana then mbota je before nga practical wala then I travel to the Gambia. In the Gambia also nga boro la genu mo jama fo lonu wol Gambia nga boro genu dol bi anza ne politiko de ga on sa muna de kanda politiko because I was a national athlete. You know, I represented the Gambia in many platforms including the World Youth Championship in Donetsk in 2013 what mo kilo mambo follow Ukraine. So and also, you know, the world the African Youth Championship, you know, Nigeria wari ngol bekela nung borona ko umuna pason leti training cool dia ranyo bagala so wala na dolbi yani bi ni nje atondi politiko na ke jagal so politiko it has always been part of me left ala to be honest with you. In fact 2006 makarte tembul to be honest but bulata nung UDP la convoy normal tare bendu foni ni nara nang for brigama then for pipeline. This was 2006. 2011 I repeated the same cycle and tara bendu no foni le nara for brigama midon ka brigama ni domoro then ngatambi ngada pipeline the same thing. So all those tabogo encounters and stuff always ngol be kalamda. The only time though naman ke wotin kay rally atemena o kay UDP la annual nena ni buka buleno makata but ni na brigama I would visit I would go to the venue, you know, from nga bula mol kono men yalan ko, you know, ke lamoyer lal tije because obviously nto didni wala nto la haji tije kata kudo ron je But other than that, the party structure itself, I have never been like Ntafulako. I was part of it. No. Campaign period. I think that was all I was able to do at the time. And then yeah. So okay, birin nara tubawdu nara jang 2014. Nara 2014 la tubawdu jang. So wasama yung kono beje after around 2015 14 ka saferoke, but mostly it was just I read about Gambia but not generally about politics, because remember I was still actively running and frustration started come out, to be honest with you. Ning championship goals I was still running young. I was not eligible to represent the Netherlands, even though I was like top 4 top 5 in the 400 meters in this country. If I was citizen I would have been representing them, but among nationality criteria my eligible because of the nationality. So I used to write back to my people in Gambia, new competition karate, I don't even need a visa, but they still will not, literally they will not even respond, So I have that resentment against the system, and I know munana wolkake, I even see sometimes handing football scandal over getting, it is mostly Nike Hakil to ministry. They are the most inefficient. Gambia National Olympic Committee, Nana Sport Fraternity, La Gambia, I think they are one of the best. They are not perfect, not even close, but Ngamre Telephone Fisa Bara Nabadin Dol the ministry. So after the solo sanding incident happened, then I wrote explicitly, and then Kabrinje, there was no turning back. Although Domandimba started Diamu when December 31st attack happened. That was something that Musa Njai guy. I remember vividly. They were attacking it and Tara started all day. Musa la So I remember all those things. But after being work, I was really happy. Now but then when this solo Sunday incident happened, there was no turning back for me. So then in summary, struggle menu apparente ala safo na kebado bije journalist kebado bije, he's also a victim ikafa Musa Sedikan natal kanun dogo ke baake directly menu la radio do nka program le host radio program will take. So kebaro radio sometimes I will be there with nkuroma Fabu Sane. So I was really young, but I was still there mombalang comme kebala dinimoti, in that process le nimmo jama fana e nyolong. So wala tina UDP kono Kuroke Jama Bafle no Nama so but it afle ko malum, because I've been there. But Abe Bank Fenti Bank Kulam, Molel Fana Jamina ko Lel Dindia and told I don't told Taroji Otmo. We are not very big contributors, Mbenekelano. Of course Nakodo donate, but if you do contribute it la maximum contribution is like 10, 15, 20, 30 euros. All Manke Fenti Tafunola ko, all Mukuba, but coming just to be there. And and every little thing is a man cannot wrong. At the time I was able to do it. Nga program all follow, nga program all lamay. So hani coming far camera from nala yung dalote nga be kumasi da was ifale I've been there nkala radio lamwele nkala radio kole ala host do fon biye o sound NPV ka bay fofana mun nakewal fofana mun nakewal liolo bari a sound da NPV bi da ra block Fabu ñol be kina wala naka program all kele. I even had a video of Fabu. I think I still have it on my Facebook. Na program also. But Fabu ñol be biri sound NPV rek yam block le. So literally all of us little journey, so well.
Thank you so much, Wandifa. But you come killing for me is touching, and these are realities. Me and Gamen Jamal Cafes, Bantala Banko Camp. Ika moji me and you want to bag a football to Boroto and Inkuko down. Need a Vaka Banko represent communication no problem body coma. Momi Alnoko is a 400-meter runner, and then is among the top 10 in that particular country. Yalnoko know that Olympic about Gambia flag when you about Jamfanda Bagelde. How was the feeling?
It was horrible. I was eligible for US law. You can look up there. My personal best is on the record. If you go to the website, updating, but updates. My personal best is 46.4. You can check it out. So that was good enough to take you to learning US university scholarship and all that. So that tells you, even at least that year, I'm Gambia from okay, and. The last time I've checked, promo time of Gambia, I don't know. Recent Mamwe. Both those that are living in Gambia and outside. I'm not going to come promoter. But if anybody enters that territory, they are good prospects and they want to invest. But Gambia Benjamin just put a background in dealer. Woyo association or delay Jamabi Terika for Leltam. ntelbe no menu koto wolu family le baronka literally. So opportunity ni sort of if you are rebellious, I'm not even gonna lie about it. I wasn't one of the rebellious guys. There is one of my brother Dobia. He's very, very good. Malaf Kato Fujang. He's an outstanding 400 meters. In fact, Gambia he was really good. Ikapareka night just because of that. And I personally, even political from Konosona, any more than you you journalists I will not be journalist because journalists when I went to the African Youth Championship in Ukraine, it was not because I was invited. It was because there is an international standard. If you meet the standard, I met the standard in Nigeria. In the competition in Wari, or maybe I believe Ivory Coast, because that Ivory Coast first, then Wari. So I went there because I had the qualification. Yeah, understand. I was not invited because Gambia Mwanyama. No, because I had the qualification. But guess what? No, Ali was better for that. Yento won in the store. Yeah, understand. And this was delivered. So after bamboo journalist, that guy even still malong but I will give him a token of appreciation. To say a very big thank you to him. List I ento bandi list total deliberately just kill a mole fix because visa column Ukraine. At least Ukraine what more Ukraine man kilo cool man right carry Ukraine. But to Gambia no erect. So yento bandi list after journalist do nara mbambuda journalist do koma during the press conference before nga depart he asked the question when if Asane had the criteria qualified le purkata atomanta listodo. So when he asked that question ye fanke come go mistake all of oh yeah when if yes yeah you made the yento fenge jete. So ali system woni nga ma like not because I lived through it, personal story explain Baba.
No, but it's always good sometimes to give you fair check or fair share to share your story because Mojamal BJ Malay coming Mojamal BJ internet they started judging you and then they didn't know that you are a pride to that country at some level.
Yeah. I have at least I won a medal for the Gambia. But I'm not obsessed with certificates and diplomas and I believe to cook work hard. After mentioned like objective set like you work hard to achieving it, towards achieving it. That's what I believe in. But I'm not bothered by a lot of things. Kujama bugang think about it all. To be very frank with you. So, but system very, very, very corrupt. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Bakari appointment as minister. I said it. Bakari the system Bakari will either join the system, but not about system falina. Iba fengelale. Iba kamajila. Maybe defana siya lense sobinino kudandana. You see, bring Jawara government bodaye. But based on new officials or menu deal, many of them were senior officials during the Jawara days. So come many along even domoro la Jawara la jamano in the Zandam in the police or the administrative and gold. So a man left to join explicit directly into the politics. But he sued telefona masakunda me absorb. Some of them they came to this sporting area. Ya lonko je kuka soto je laliu. Don't get me wrong. Ni made a long enough, you can have opportunity there as an administrator more. So some wallel natana and ye kutu system one. Yeah, understand. So while I'm a reform, even politics, I'm very happy that I joined politics. Will be more cooler men going to consider that. Remnants men kabonam from the other the previous regime, I can feel okay telling system do the andal no for whatever reason. Nina the new regime men na katra ika mabudula nyine and mavo be concentrate but the last sport area is here. In fact, somebody I can tell you off my head was third in command at some point at the Gambia Police Force. Was running one of the institutions. And imagine you have somebody mona bakilin your institution or and then you have not based on speculation, witness long, okay? Bakilin your institution or alial momaring official to alial baring dingolu, it is almost like a family entity. And to be honest,
it's really sad. It's really sad.
Dunia kalano. Amanya nagatama wanyama.
Exactly, exactly. It's really sad. We are all in the Gambia. We know how a lot of things are working, but it is always important to put kajako funding kele ye dadung politiko to ye dadung ila society la tamandiri nyala ye dadung kula miala kabadani bangkula tamandiri nyala. Mkontanda bake, whenever you are able to share your part, because I always like this because you can more the internet or internet is very very toxic at some level. People started judging you when you started writing about something. People started judging you when you started talking about something. They will start judging you, not knowing that you are more productive, more efficient, more active than any of those individual about your thing when you were in the Gambia. Far better than those individual at some level. So now we are going to get into the program. So left and Adam that mu become a council. Recently, disbursement on Yinke, they have reimbursed almost 28 million Gambian dollars to their respective wards in the region. How do you receive this?
No, Ali, to be honest with you, I joined this conversation deliberately. The last time I video from to talk about it, because you see, when the poor people benefit from something, ning model na ko because itara kara molde londol soto ibe diamula ko la ka ko nondi ka ko nyawndi amang betia. Okay, the Europe mento is the biggest union me along achievement also. One of their nitare founding core values. One of the things they mentioned, they want to make sure that the decision making is closer to the people as much as possible. Then you have division of competencies. You have competencies that are delegated to the regions or you have a state. State can make sure you have to delegate certain call to the regions. Municipal council so like a than Africa okay. Then you have competencies that are exclusively for the central government, and you have shared competencies. Yeah, so ni lafta moli mako ero sura nyama ila problemo menti pour memba lonna wala marala men nakitela katambi marala beti ni ajibe banko kan umu jumaldi council lo in as much as they may rank lower, but it left katata closer to the people. So new world jama more fancy. Ya decide ko ibe nyeta kudo tikaka dila mol ani lua manfonyogo. My problem was remember two things like at the same time about BSG. Somebody came out criticizing Biolab nomination. I didn't talk about it because you see, support. I have values. If you question the appointment and nomination of somebody, which was done by an elected representative, they can speak and justify it. Okay, and this person may have the right to criticize because public but let's just be fair. In democracy, that is it. But Nina question. It's like, okay, is it because because local government acting in 2002, where clearly coming 60% of the funds men generated for development. I come out for me and buka tama nyama. Well, such as kafu komengo masakunda nyanda the development budget ni di, for example, ni yang kubanyole 25 na maximum better, but near 1 million each ward la. That means 25% of that would be like what 250,000, right? So 250,000 nyanta lala will come men nyanta bala masakunda babulu, but it's not coming. It's not even part of the conversation. So all these ngala ni so-called so it is sometimes I can comment like nibe saferola and you refuse to attack the face of the people to script. Sometimes you go off aka wali ñoyal ñun lañu projet ko ne ajibe dol bi je jiolel ta ya community dole jiolel di fon la in fa nga community dole wala courant la fonta ka sabana ka dundi some people went ka filol fence ka kamol ke public dual de kamol sutra. So ni side ko masa kunda bala be nyimbe natile adi amo be yalla be mela wadi jumala wol bebina. So comme mo dam fo kendro European they are not wrong to put this as a matter of principle. Like EU Foundation or they are going to put emphasis on Kamolu Makomenanko. They are the representatives and the decision makers that are closest to the people. And this is very important because it's like a problem of law. So, but to me, it's like
yeah. So Dog is muted. I think he wanted to jump in there. Yeah, Dog, you can go ahead.
Did you unmute it? Can you hear
Yes,
me
yes,
now?
yes, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Wonderful, sorry, I was just driving home quickly. Of course, maybe familiar, we might not be, physically familiar, whatever, but Angela Finke Jamal Lajibi. And I remember one time, I think I personally saw you at the stadium on people running and sprinting, but it's long time ago. So, but anyway, we don't have like physical familiarity, but I've seen you run along the tracks, and listening to that story is quite very, but a Gambia la wo nyama fanang. I understand that. And of course, you getting into politics and all of that, that's out of necessity. We know what was happening in the country. And of course, with what you're talking about, science, yeah, long kukilimbe Gambia, and Tebuka, I still have this mentality that the opposition need to come together in a way that there is something that is bigger than any individual party. That is my belief. And I still believe that this government is not fit to be in Gambia and need to go by all means necessary, so that all the necessary reforms are put in place. And when I listen to critiques, more so when it has to do with this Brikama area council, I was in Belgium and we were writing, on a particular, postgraduate program on sustainable development and social innovation. Tubabolo kuke without reasons. The reason why they're actually getting their funds to the closest people to those communities, they want a bottom-up approach and community development, community-driven development. Now, you cannot just come and decide for the communities from your office spaces. So the communities need to participate in what they need and decide what they need, and of course implement what they need. So in doing so, ning council like Brikama e kodol be collect, and they come to the community ngani na collect da feled ala fo nya lafta min na nali buludu nyo buludu ku nyeke. I think that's the best approach. That is my belief. There is no better approach than na me pompo la kala leja. Yalo na fo isula da wala.
Exactly.
There is no better approach to come kumbala filo la fence la. You know what their priorities are? So the method that Brikama is using, it might be physical cash to you and that might look different, but this is actually coming to the community and giving the community the power and the leadership authority to take their destiny in their own hands, to determine, the development they want in those communities. And it's not just like, we are developing a policy. What informed the policy development? Or we are actually going to put this particular thing in this particular location. That is why we have white elephant projects, more so agricultural projects in the Gambia. Because imagine you go to Nyomi, we are going to actually give you rice for paddy farms. Those people don't do that. And that happened in the Gambia some years ago. Instead of going to Jakali Pacha. So we need to know the needs of our communities, and we can only know the needs of these communities when you engage the communities and you allow them to take those leadership roles. And that bottom-up approach is really the approach we are seeing Brikama doing. I commend Brikama for a lot of things, even though, some things I keep telling them you can improve this and improve that, like, the scholarship issues, there need more transparency in that. When it comes to, centralizing everything in Brikama, they could raise funds by going to all of these communities within West Coast. Being Kanabru food le fundraising for scholarship, because Allah didn't know benefit lal. Tomorrow we are going to Sanyang, not just doing it in just Brikama as in, of course, it's the capital. But what Gambia needed to do to make sure that all these regional administrative capitals are well developed, and that should be done by central government. But the central government, Council is doing everything they could do to make sure that leakages are all, you will be a blockage ko doku minyanta kela nin community liambulu dunyo bulungo doku. Okay, we don't just come and impose on them. I think that is commendable, and that should be commendable by everyone. And even if you have Hanisiki Sakadomo Nimbije, it should be recommendations, but not outright criticisms, and of course opposing.
Yeah, in fact, nga doje kombon ko le formo de do nga yo ngalon ko certainly UMC ngoli. Tali, by the way, KMC started this. This is not something me alongo. Yang konyo like, but I think before talk KMC fanaka. But when they did it, there were accountability issues. You go to the commission, you will see Habib was questioned about this. Alfonso Karamo si council on fond like nakewa namo. I don't know favorite council of the KMC movie. He was also questioned about Alfonso Manenya. So there were accountability issues. So another abandoned. And as I understand it right now, so some are saying ko ha ni nga ke molba mira la komen ko mbe BSc la copy can they should just go bring it back.
No, it's normal to do it. I think accountability. What I even told this to Brikama some time ago. Accountability has to do with make sure that these councillors have existing, structures, because they themselves need to have their own committees and they need to submit that, and the council need to have those checks and balances to make sure detail and that detail and then you have to bring back this, because you don't give people money and just allow them to go and do whatever. So that checks and balances maybe told that is it's a kukumasinole ite mandaminije nyundo come and learn from you and do it better, because hada maya nyanda kala wala nyama.
Absolutely.
Ni karante kara mobulu ikara mola mistake wal ni isotaro ni te wolje ita nyanda le wol ko vete fanan kana wolke.
Yeah.
No, Brikama would have learned from KM and of course did it better, but KM could also go back and learn how Brikama did it better.
Exactly.
And all of these things are opposition. Opposition or the malbe nyo fenkela. Moro wakanda sunu bake. But again, here I'm not the discussant here. I have questions for you. What bukaba?
Yeah, critics on one level, memo UMC in Korea, we went well off mark. So the other critic was Nake Walafanamore, but at the Kabri struggle down, but I'm block le, Dragam block. This is an absolute gentleman, Dr. Konde. I'm going to go whenever. Thanks for your time and the friendship, but I have to move on. I am blocked. No more. So he criticized the BSc thing. Atena mathematical from Nara 1 million divide into Malong. I could 25 villages in Combo East. Yeah, so Combo East is a constituency. It's not a ward. So there are 3 words in Combo East Dama. So yalong sa ni mo suffer regardless, hanika mung suffer lona suffer lenatinang kotege. You already got it wrong, because Combo East among 1 million dita Combo East lela. Combo East constituency that is, and there are 3 wards there. Those 3 wards, each 1 million was allocated. So was he criticism sivala? Anumala was so tar siva de biology. Because if you are criticizing something, criticism. What's the case?
But that is why it's important that these conversations are heard and people get to, because mojamabe Gambia walka korontol ambarangana kuma fema atara ita fama loku kumoy. So and honestly, like if you look at the model at Brikama Area Council, look, Yankoba blocked me since 2017, just like you're talking about other people blocking you. But now I look at it, I'm like, no, this is the right thing. And I think their methodology and their approach to development, more so in West Coast region, I think, is a great model, is community driven, is people centered. And of course, even if you want to come and attack it, people come and resist because it is people centered.
Yeah.
If you look at the leadership of Senegalese, prime minister, you can tell that everything he does is about the people, and there is a transparency between him and the people, and decisions are coming from the people and all the way to the grassroots. It's not imposed on the people. So I think that's really phenomenal. If we cannot commend it, you cannot condemn it. Honestly, you can criticize it because it's not perfect.
Then even move away from that topic to ask your question. I want to put this thing forward. With regards to the issue of Brikama Area Council, Kabri Astadno, I'm from Tujere, and Tujere is part of Brikama Area Council. And some of us were the vocal, persons when it comes to holding government accountable and area councils. For me, my focus has always been area council at that time. So when I've written, when I commended Yankuba Dabo for the first, reimbursement, I got attacks from my brother Sekou and others that I got followers and I should not comment something of sort. Come on, I have been an advocate for this 60%. And now that if I'm seeing somebody doing it and knowing who Yankuba is when it comes to holding people accountable, I am pretty sure that something is going to be done out of this. And now it is your responsibility and my responsibility to call on my old councillor to implement these resources efficiently. And it's me and you that has to follow how this money has been spent, not Yankuba at some level. The constituents themselves, the citizenry themselves have to call, question, put forward your suggestions, and of course, trying to provide projects that you think need to be addressed in your ward. And when we do that collectively, we will be able to have a very progressive society. You can move on now.
Great. Now we get into the politics proper. UDP want a party-led coalition going into 2026. But 2026 la kuna silang atuda kardanda mpurunga futa electional. Wonderful. What's basically the ideal? What is that ideology about? A party-led. Can you explain in simplest terms what that means and why that, and why not what other people think?
Well, I remember vividly being Alambaro Tombong. I was not at the decision-making table. But I remember ko UDP ya fole nunko and malam for me be remember nola. But ya for nunko positions about there were three possibilities. This is a while ago, so but I'll try my best to explain. You go one, party led, two, coalition, yeah, understand it. Three, UDP goes going solo. These three options has always been there. So menukat la ko last time ngayene ke wala worked. I want to tell you ko even during those times that UDP going solo ngamo ya dambaro fo dala la bafoka. Okay, so it has always been there out there. Okay, but as a party member of the United Democratic Party, I support my party's position. But the the judicious thing to do is to allow UDP to lead. But I also reserve the right to say that I believe, because nganyim for platform and I think it is only fair that ngari pija. When it comes to stating your position on a critical issue like this, I think it should not be as a result of the reaction of people on social media. It should be told directly to the stakeholders, and at a very and our policy watermelon finance should be important. Them having to make the decision now, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I am very I have reservations as to how and when the decision was disclosed on social media. I've said this previously, but I have reservations. I'm not maybe I'm not quite join the bandwagon. You know, he's just I definitely do
No, no,
because
no. I don't. You know, let me be honest with you. I am one person who is very open-minded, and if I tell you I listen to a lot that you say and I make a lot of sense out of it, I am not the come kavoko karaka min fontaman so
exactly.
well, but I take the sense out of, and I know you are very independent in your thoughts, irrespective. And it's not everybody in the UDP that you can claim likes you, because one thing is Gambia lomi alonko.
Yeah.
You will not come out. Nobody expect you to come outward to say, because ngawala jeno model le beno UDP come nin ku keta min mantilindiro itole na Facebook kom fay ni rebe pati min do nin ku keta woro ni min mantil it ala duma ya fo pati ngol yaba why then I
Exactly.
wurla Facebook fay you want validation from Facebook people.
No,
I don't, you know, people
Mira,
have reasons. Mhm.
I think party ningo dolby ila coming ila noise outweighs their actual numbers. Wobekala UMC suga kotin tije uh, karamo ba nyimpa esala moldi la fana. So I think the most important partners UDP nyanda focus la no wala kan wala honorable Ivesala, you need to have him on board. Need have a coalition genuine la. You need to have also Mama Kande on board, and those are the people that you need to focus on. And then I'm niba kuma fala momo kuma kumati me alanko is a definitive position ini wala nyanda sila yafo, but a coffee to be honest, I'm not happy with it. I think should be said at the table at the right time and not be in fact it is more like, you know, UMC triggered such information to be divulged at this time, because it will be noise kick about this coalition. Halifa Sala nala doyman noise maker
But
Mama Kan.
again, Wandifa, UDP has spent 30 years in politics, and UMC is less than a year old, and they are triggering you to say things that could actually
No, I'm not
jeopardize
saying no,
conversations.
that's the thing. Listen for a moment. I'm not an
Huh?
executive man. I'm just telling
Yes,
you, opinion. I've said this before, even
right.
on a platform recently. Go. I do not believe that.
Oh, we lost him.
I believe is his network, you know.
For Netherlands fan and network that.
Uh, Netherlands. Jani wandi fawa murina nang I have an announcement to make. So nila faka kudoki Gambia Bango kang isa tap use no damin to yar noko isa ila kodo ni sa receive no
Well,
wave.
for saya advertisement wala kasi lamba. Na boba garaw rin net.
No
Tap
nila
send.
tap ye blow dun koral demande. So they have given us promo code. So promo code on moment the ambassador comment section or the side that thing. Jigida almost 800 sorry 83 people la banjibe kanyin temo nyina. Ano niba dunia dawoda isa tap use no ya download ibira kodo receive la wave direct your wave account. Ando nyinom promo code ko ya sefri nyame duma je it's Aliu 419 419 yes Aliu 419 wala mo promo code ni so use no to moment na ni faka da fulo senila kanun tele surtout manyi sonkaro nyin kono salo kana siyo tafana nyina donc there you go.
Yeah, that's great. You know, I saw this tap send not long ago. Gambia, ngamra even though and I was like, wow, this is great. It looks good. You know, yeah. I think people. I don't know where that promo is coming from, but I think it's a good thing. But Janning
Yeah,
Wandefa Benala, I've heard recently
he's
a
back.
lot of things. Oh yeah, it's
Mhm.
good. It's good to be back because I have a lot of questions for. So
Yeah.
more about malam for Netherlands for na internet o kadala. But I it's a country that I love so much. I used to come to Nijmegen, Utrecht, and
No, more than
Amsterdam.
call,
Mole, yeah,
but
and so bit all okay.
do not disturb le, but not. Yeah, so come
But
if you want to, yeah, let me say something here. If you want to hear something authoritative about the UDP's position, and then analysts let it just like you, if you will. So if you want to hear something authoritative and declarative from UDP, you need to reach out to an executive member. And that's in terms of political operative doldi. I have I think that my ideas and values need the best are best represented in UDP. Well, I'm not UDP bidaga, but I'm going to comment. I'm just there to, malam babla. I'm not that ordinary. I'm sorry. I don't like that kind
I
of.
understand that. It's difficult to say, but sometimes I see myself in you in a way because ndabulala mo no mina kambulo kung fonka ko ni wale masa kunda yale benda soronal. But here is my question again. We've seen many people would argue, Dabo has, contested election several times. Some would say he's cheated here and there. What do you think is going to be the messaging of the United Democratic Party with Dabo as its candidate going into 2026? What would change? Because 2021, whatever might have happened, either one accepts or not, Barrow became the president again. What would the UDP do differently, or what do you expect the UDP to do differently if you expect them to actually win 2026?
Ni winter one for Janika win.
Yanni be win like mune be winning no la me winning no last time.
Well,
Mune be
I think
falling na.
okay, I understand that. The people need to listen to yalo ne candidate or ne moko lafte maralela. Ikela mo ilaga mune. First and foremost, Dabo will solve the biggest problem that we have in Gambian politics right now. The personalization of power and the overstay of our leaders. Dabo has made it very clear he does not intend to stay beyond 5 years. And this is something Mealonga Bunka Bafok and coalition negotiation blood. It's a promise to his own party, it's a promise to all other party stakeholders then. And then it is not even up to you guys to hold him to account. Okay, I have so I think that alone should be inspiring. Mome ya lonko I politico so fun isa for dala futara ala politico tilo boy warod. So akweko if I become president, I'll only serve for 1 term, and then after that, during that 1 term rather, may reform like come more or less ka baso fene. Gambia democracy be tamala menga ka foundation ola. So obviously it is only fair to conclude great botala portal. And we will need somebody like that prior foundation online. So for me, that alone, that what am I that in another proof more like a UDP government and constitution obviously ala be introduce la because be reintroduce la be nun jele galia dilenda yatinya ya yena ko dotinya wili mala ni wili jalu. So the fact ko dabo ka be 1 time like boje ways neo ko kola mene be wala ni ka be time limit fanana dal. So and Gambian even the separate report ni about 60% of the Gambians believe that time limit ko ya support le mala president Barrow tambi 2 time ola. So definitely ning dabo ya tambindi ning Gambian la carte fa that is going to be the best interest of the Gambian people, and I think so Nasita, obviously it is very clear ko bet change la ko Gambia problem ko including corruption, massive corruption. Ala foundation o bebe dame wala nyiti ko mu ikamele yaja ni mol sita masakunda ye sunyaro e kuriya ite sonna ka boje because ni bada ye mol ba jela le basire nu muneka wala mu Gambia la foundation. So Dabo literally is going to fix what I can call the primary cause of all these problems, but that remains a significant problem, and it's a long-standing one as well. Solve no. So definitely, every Gambian may along well after Gambia ita nyato, after Gambia kutoje, after yema be Gambia kutola, Gambia kuto me kamol ngafu Gambia kuto. Ni after kaje. Definitely, imanyana hesitate like a cartel na musenu Dabo because he made it clear ko atebo foundation da malala atemang intent pour ka tara janka fo komengo askeno jari fana be lola he's not there for that. So that alone for me that would have inspired me ka carte fa hana rumbuga support.
again, if you ask me, I would tell you, I would personally believe Dabo with that, because if you look at it, a la career wise, and also even age wise, you would expect him to do a term and of course stabilize the economy, make sure all the reforms are done, and then he will be like, I'm here 5 years to stabilize this country and move away. But Modo from another side would tell you, baro na fonya jam amam bara landa bota UDP le. How would you respond to that? Sanji
I
sawa
will tell.
para
I will.
sa kwenye sanji tan ni lula kata bola je ikamera ko now he's hell bent on self perpetuation. Now we are even dealing with trying to get this guy out me along ko nyanda sanji sabadro na kala nun jam.
Okay. If I can, I also ask you a question.
Yes.
Do you think Lawyer Dabo will become president and form his own political party?
Oh, he's already got a party.
He's already got a party.
Yeah.
Then that the members of that party will not watch another president who promised to serve 5 years and remain in that party. So it defies common sense to even think Lawyer Dabo will promise 5 years and say, okay, balang, mang could be achieved now within 5 years. 5 years, Lawyer Dabo cannot do that. This is somebody. Look, he is tested when it comes to public resources. What is it called? Ngaji jana, Bira vice president yala and foreign minister yala. Ani masa kunda moto fon bukata UDP campaign. Na be UDP ralil kala ke fengola atondi kafanya di weekend aka fan some private moto. He came under heavy attack by his own people. Okay, ngani ko do gelmen fo nyim fa bu ñolu lamin tunkara ñul they all ibe pisal ta janne ye kuma jamal lel fo about Dabo, they made him really really uncomfortable because Dabo man molu belong aman tolu belong time ola so ate fana killing ol men long ko to kel he started to show signs of frustration for do audio ka leak wo be tara man anara mun doko imon doko le sotono doko Dabo said doko dino mo bela if he was corrupt but ako no government buka tama teng government ka tama nyame ning atar nun consider employing of foreign service nga contract ko la di mo la mostly Gambia ka 2 years le di near 2 years dealer ni la 2 years o mambang ndafuno lal wandi fa sambale nyin kala place because ni o mari bay if you government will have to compensate that person and pay the rest of the contract ya na la family boni ye family kutota ye sambaje so Dabo man so wala kala power to soul take abuse mbele mo la they were speculating among themselves ka fo nyoy ko Lawyer Dabo ko ngana place o dila baroka be do ko dile Lawyer Dabo was not like that. If that was the case Lawyer would have put UDP would have been all over the place. Barotem banna baila fa. Atem banna
But
no baila.
but,
Because
but foreign service was predominantly UDP. Would you disagree?
example no Ablai Bojang, former Speaker of Parliament, was in South Africa. He was APRC to the last minute of the Jama days.
But Dabo made some comments that could have been avoided when it comes to Ablai Bojang.
What do you say?
That he was the only person fit to work in their government at the time somebody
No,
asked a
I can
question.
give you
That
more
was
examples.
not.
I was here at the time. I
Okay.
remember person, the last name Baji, the family name was not significant. But what caught the attention was a lot of what caught the attention of a lot of people was the fact that they believe that the person had ties to the Jame regime, a la family. Okay, this person was working. But hold on, let me just conclude this.
Okay.
This person was working at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs as a staff, regular staff. So I have a promotion also. Then, as a result of that, he has some New York. There was an uproar, in fact, I remember vividly. Modo ko nyimpatio betela. Lawyer Dabo I audio bondi. Ako, if I spoke no na dude ka fale jambe dula, but if ka ko jambe tela. And then another ka clarify ko. Nyimbe do ko la masa kunda ko for because of ndolda ra masa kunda nyame momo ya lon ko ani ya jambe la sio fo momo lunda wala amari la family ties le to the former regime. Mbo mari bayla la manyina promotion so la ba. Akon taw kala no nyimbe do ko la civil servant no la madi I promotion so that in New York I will nyanda kake and he was the foreign minister at the time but Dabo example on menu set history will reflect them but we can choose we can choose to ignore them but like the broader Gambian we can choose to ignore them but he has set like incredible examples of leadership and patriotism. Dabo is a true patriot of the Gambia. I can literally feel the pulse. He loved that country so very much. And I hope
I would tend to agree that anyone who seeks to run the Gambia would definitely have some level of patriotism. I'm not sure to what extent, because dole beje kai moro wal manyani if fokumol ike kodi nyola bakel. But again, I will not keep this on just Dabo as a person, but here we are discussing the United Democratic Party. Now UDP ka follow ko 2021 yen sunyale, but then they won a lot of area councils and also won a lot of National Assembly positions. Do you still hold that belief that elections are stolen in the Gambia? If so, in what sense? And how would you avoid that going into 2026 when Barrow already said that alkalo lebe batella dala mutala nu wallaka attestation or di molla. Ako inate mo mota do kula wolbe batella man sakundala support that includes even the IEC. Ako hani Minister of Justice mi yalon ko tilngo nin tonya wala atina police fakete be tapale yan tilimbali ala je kar ko etala ko lafto wala UDP la kam, but that's not the point of discussion here. How do you entrust these bodies going into 2026 with the claims of previous claims of maybe Sunyala wala kula tambul min tilngo nin tonya manta?
Well, to be very honest with you, Gambia la tarte sunya, I'm a living witness. More for because jam brasida. The first election, I cannot even remember when they Masakunara. But growing up, nga jam dol playing kafa tik-taka. Maybe
I know.
Tik-taka. Okay, yalo tega tik-taka lo nyame. Nga kumas ka play, of course, nga play nung konon kesol. But bring carte for you keda. Nga play ning carte kesol. So right. You at that age, we were barely under 10 years old, less than 10 years old. We came to understand subsequently, even in 2002, 2011, accounting center. Ndola jara nyol masa kongolam jara ninkiang, and then come in headquarters, regional headquarters or regional headquarters. So eka bolot box all ke transport le pick up como so joro lega tracing eka bonne. I can tell you that ndele carte ke sol tomone anu hanu wadon ni koko comme example ya jamekana. I was going to school, primary school called Nyaurlung Primary School. Was still all coming ni running Trans Gambia, because normally in Karanim Koma Silola, but ni ya jamekana obviously I like a phenomenon. I remember Sito Ganjeka carte ke sol tombo. So that is, if there is no evidence that Africa Kadabra that go and verify that with people many along will witness. Then I witnessed that. And the other thing is even in 2021, there were issues. There were a lot of issues. Don't be on social media, but there were a lot of issues. The registration of foreigners, because it will exploit. You go to food. It is not difficult for the people. In fact, I wanted to say, every genuine politician, Memu Gambia, the Kuala Africa president, we want to know your position on the issue of the Brufut people, the Malabaflanya, the Ghana Town, Brufut. Yeah. All of them need to let us know what their position is, because these people are born in this country. Masakuna kaito dile ke abuse ke exploit ninkarte fai wato side kanaka karte onye nkebulu. That is outrageous, and the Gambian government is violating international law by rendering people stateless in their country. So that's why in Kafoko, every genuine politician, we want to know your opinion on the issue of the Brufut Ghana Town people. Yeah, understand. So foreigner, many along ko dolbiji wolman trafengi ne lada wolafta sila bankola kando. Mema obanga kasi ndolbe fitita. So but in the process dolbiji ka ikanyina gidandila ko nyina mu gateway. Ika sona yandibul wala ni adile yelahi. Mo me yalong ko kodo spend banku dingol fongol kunda meni yalon ko ni la voters card ni la ID muna batina la ata kodi bonde la dame just kata voters card tika kadi modo la men banku dingol. It was rampant. It's common knowledge akasotole, but maybe you want a more concrete evidence than that. I'll give you.
No, not necessarily. I mean, like alkalo fanana nying attestation and president ko be battle dala mutala. I did not see the opposition vehemently condemning this. What exactly is the position of the your party as in particular, because I know you can't speak for other oppositions, but neko alkalo lube bentela dala mutala no wala ka kaitol di molla karate station odila abukol ko ena banko ka mi yalan ko kaiti tede bulu woto miye carte di la pour carte fa wala yala we kaiti follow detail already. It about follow like I owe everything to this person. You'll go and vote for them. For you, it's like they're the ones giving you those documents.
Absolutely. And you see, our party leader himself, he's very passionate about his safe local. For some reason, he's always been speaking about it. He talks a lot about it. Come and safe dabundi kana so masakunda ke use ko jorango Alkalolu, even these governors. So I think the opposition are at a massive disadvantage. At a massive disadvantage. Nia Korosi, Puruka Falingo Keno Gambia, opposition for a lanyoka, wala kuye ke me alongo, meme ka mansa kunda falimbol. Puruka Keno, Mbela nyoka nem o kuye ke me alongo, there has to be something me alongo, mbafula, okay, this was the moment wherein Barrow flipped a diamond. But other than that, Gambian, model be ne comfort dealer is a weapon pour you relax. They will not resist. And Barrow is using that as a weapon in the Gambia right now. You give people comfort, come here, just the opposite of whatever Jammeh was doing. You understand? And with a little bit of suffering, you can sprinkle a little bit of suffering on it. They become, they have no interest in resisting. And I think that psychologically is working in the Gambia to an extent. More complicit it is okay for them to be in UMC. It is okay for them to be in, let's say, Halifa Saleh camp, UDP la camp. But near Dalilo for Mananeka Barrow support is almost embarrassing. Why would you support a government that is telling you control from Malana party leader president yala mantra president yala kama munwala bolaji asida ko banko be tema ko ako time limit from kukuma balti anda fongo akade subscribe to la bakele wo mate fongo bulu kukuma balti afela neza kana ta sanji
akoy ba safela la ya sil
and change close nya ko le chodi wanyama.
Yeah.
So, but in his own way, I have follow comment because he want to make sure the term limit is not just passed as a law, but it's passed as an entrenched clause within our constitution. So, new money that flipped on that is completely the opposite of lawyer. So, you can't, but that is only because.
But would you take responsibility for Barrow's failure, knowing fully well, partly, not really, in its entirety, but partly because Barrow, Abukobi, etebe UDP, le ni UDP etete fo enada ke mansati enada Gambian ko le kutili la mi alonko hani ma bonni UDP le bare ale ite bono le yato and ite bono le yelo minka bore jato ko neto bonni no le jato ko even if people say no carbora yala manken na moti, you cannot really completely disassociate. What could have UDP done better at the time they actually picked Barrow, or is it entirely Barrow who really turned out to be something else?
Well, I think for you will be looking at things many along you can only, those are the only things available to you to use as part of your analysis because you be outside just like me. But ni ara kumol munie mola kumol lamay suspected juna kumenu ba koma kwenye koma. I'll give you a typical example. Maimuna Sisedabo is one of the people many along the divisional staff. Okay. If you listen to her, a philosophy moment and this is not just her. This is a lot of them. You have to be with the government. Masai ni comment na nundo mol ko masival menfo. Itol dol believe ko ni masa ko silo bola kungol tema kungol be faral wasilo bola. So
but was the issue just entirely UDP alintu jengana two term ke ngaboje wala albenta jenkende la otombeta lo lam fangole. Don't you think UDP could have managed that better?
The management side didn't double blame. I've seen a lot of people, even I believe I heard a lot of double regret over Nimbarola Bo Nyoka Nikuya. But Yalong Niman Tradulato, a Jojo Koleal. Baro Mol Katarala, Minu Katarale, Kumela sentiment so Nila mindset Benyamanka or Baro, my Muna, for example, I have valued. In fact, I nominated as a nominated National Assembly member. And akadunga kan nefanang nata na New York akataya la fonka faka domo benda china nyankatan gimal domo and stuff like that. So this is not somebody alonko another telephone dia moda ma ay nyomoyle ya understand. So new world kaitan dia comment they don't intend katra. Unfortunately kemo boya ya sifa fule recently ala last seminar ala very recent video ka foko malafika tara ndebe opposition ya ndebe funding ke amen kono de man funding ke enjoy. Just as of now, already not 10 years ago, this is a very toxic mentality. It should never exist in the minds of any funding. Opposition, for me, national duty. As long as there is a government, there is justification to be in the opposition. I have no problem with that, and I'm not bitter or angry. But I have a lot of good things to say about my country, even though Barola BJB. ni modol benta meno manke Gambia no ni nga Gambia describe ita fo babla wonde ba ita manke NPP ngol. I have all the good things about Gambia, I tell them. Okay, but Roma minko because we're outside, but ninna ran ni tabasila mbeka chala ite Gambia lo nte Gambia lo Gambia no problem meno mbole sara la ngatambi. So molo meno bala, for example, yalo Gambia no katare abaka kenyina. Demen na Usenu Dawe baba ila masa kundako. Something significant happened. That was the day that the High Court, was the Supreme Court, delivered the verdict on the issue of Yakumba Jet. Ko Yakumbala Bayo was illegal. But then behind the scenes, Dabo being a lawyer, being a constitutional lawyer for that matter, I borrow Yamarle, ko, Imanyan Samboso don't try to exercise the power. Power me master they exercise. So Baro being who he is, birim verdict yung pastor ko, Yakumba Barota president of Bainola. O verdict announced lumina after I buy Roka I buy. So obviously, we could have managed better. I'm trying to ask who could have prevented that reaction from the president. So
you could have let him run for a second term and then he's done. Maybe that's what he wanted.
No. Oh, okay. Dabo, as far as the public records are concerned, and it's a cross check. No, Dabo has never indicated he wants Barrow to step aside anytime soon. In fact, he was blamed for wanting for Barrow to stay even longer.
But like, don't you blame him for that, or you think that was normal?
No, I blame wala. Ma blame. To be honest with you, ma blame.
Eda sondalo ko mol d'accord ko baroning hadamadingol ning Gambian ko be d'accord ko sanji saba. But of course that has some constitutional lapses, and Dabo, who was not in those negotiations, came out and said this is probably some constitutional issues, but about alnada korda wala it's now morality and constitutionality, and he decided to say that no, I think we need to go for constitutionality against the greater information and of course campaign promise to the Gambian people. You think that was very normal?
Well, I don't even like to quote constitutions because I think it's not always not the best way to analyze issues. But for section 4, for section 5 of the constitution said very clearly, any agreement that
contravenes. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. This constitution is null and void. You understand? So now it is the word of the constitution versus an agreement that we cannot even find the script where it is written. So definitely speaking, from a moral point of view, it's but also from a legal point of view. So Dabo being on the other side, nobody should be surprised. He's a lawyer at the end of the day. You understand? And he is grateful for everything that the administration brought in.
I'm not looking at it from the legality and the morality part of it, but I'm looking at it now politically. Don't you think 3 years was actually more favorable for Dawo's personal political ambitions, because he was very, very popular shortly after jail, and that was going to shorten the time for Barrow before he started thinking of and all of that. Of course, UDP won almost all the seats here and there. The shorter the period that Barrow becomes president, the easier it was for Dabo to become president. So you cannot be super selfless when it comes to politics. Don't you think that was also something that actually had impacted UDP and Dabo?
I think Dabo, malang for teaching born teachers, train teachers, born and train teachers. Dabo is not that natural politician. Yeah, understand it. More than right, Banco Kanu, I learned also he has the competence and everything. But in typical politician, that was the time to elbow. Yeah, that was the right time. I agree with you on that. But also that validates one point. Dabo is selfless. Because the ordinary politician, that was the right time. Comment aka binomem falling janabe melunda. But sa melunda lema jaga mbejung. So Dabo definitely is not a selfish person. Not look as selfish that the right thing that at that moment wolenka baroning ka on the mind. Okay, but that was the contrary position I want to I believe to go constitutional 5 years level and baroning da wala sabla. I personally think especially looking at it hindsight, I mean that guy manyanata 3 years.
I mean, he agree with you, Dog. Now, so when
he agree, because Gambia Jamak wale jibe ko ning Dabo tenu nyimbota je juna, and they were not looking at it to say that Dabo will not become president, but they were like, you know what, this guy got to go.
if not only UDP nin dabo fon la agenda be mu dabo dronet to me come for we would have pushed him out.
In that 3 years.
Dabo la diamu dobi I believe one of his interviews, I think he referenced something along the lines of there was a time I think OJ if I never borrowed my mulunke about 3 years. So baro kay ko yenyul mo lew diama kay ko no don't worry. I'll understand. Come literally akataka mawo nyinko because I'm ka hany. You understand? But
So,
Dabo man jump fan.
So Dabo le baro hanyin. But of course, I agree. Dabo is a phenomenal person, and I used to say this. I don't know how that sits with the UDP people. Because Dabo might be a very smart and of course a great lawyer and all of that, but he's at a political. Politicians should not be overly selfless because it could act because in politics it has to do with ilafita minna mo jama lafta walla ni ta ko ita lafta mo bela nyaaro talla wodo wode ta sodola because ite mi ngomi sure da badi la molla la
wala na conservative soul as a matter of principle if ke ku ba ke naivety to le buka la ba itol comme maningol quand même hani mende ke la musique ra mira
because momin be mabo kayta mari koma wo murunda ko tanke wonara wajam fa jawo sidita kama ko tanke up till date, and now that he's into self perpetuation. So that is where I was trying to ask you, don't you think that UDP could have done some things better? Not really to say that 5 years into, but looking at it politically, momi yalon ko nimdol ka hey ni 3 years le for ya mo ile ka mo ka bolero le if amale baba ya mo ile kan ka kamin foni. But of course, you try to defend constitutionality, and now that person changed course. Faka murun silang, and then
okay, you had more to
this is what I wanted to really get to.
No, mare come ninko ye fon kono wala ye fon bal domorola ya ona sa ye fon le bal domorola ka je komen ko loi e memfo as interpreted by the party leader ngatama wala ya ona sa and he made this very clear. The party leader has made this very, very clear. Ko amango ko alafta boro to you because I tell lafta borola also constitutional memfo. Ala justification was the constitution. So, but we are talking about a scenario where potentially coming for not UDP bolegela. We will force another election before the constitutionally stipulated period for another election to happen. UDP more pool. And I think looking at it hindsight also, that's also okay. So there was no interruption during Jamila time on in BDMA. Election, months sort of in between is go President Carla Jida all of a sudden after 3 years. So, but Omar, any genuine person, me yalonko ye left a mol be jibe from a neutral point of view la. Ye left a mol be jibe ni neutral island la. Ye manta mo nya kono jibel to nyara. The fact ko Dabo ma fango forase. Kabaro ka jibe ko he's vulnerable. Kabaro ka jibe ka jiko amang kalamuta ala londo dasatam because malef kane. Ala londo Baro did not have the exposure in fact. Dabo could have taken advantage of him in so many ways. And at that time, if you are vulnerable, you are exposed at that time.
Now you okay? Go ahead.
Moment na isembeta moment na ni mo jawolam askeno wasasa ita wulaji iba falale. So but Dabo stood for Baro at a time that you only expect a good person to stand for him. Wanyama drum mo kendo nyanda lole wala nyama. At the time, there was nothing wrong with it legally and constitutional. Morally, so he's okay. I don't know where we are taking this conversation to, but that woman cook je me alongo ani luama dan semen fono wala ntula tuba karandin kalabante yato ni wolam that was completely differently.
I want us to make a progress now into the preparation now. And then I think Doc was able to get his answer by making sure that you admitted that, UDP could have done something better, in that 3 years transition, even when it comes to legislating some of the laws. It wasn't right during Kabal opposition, and then you come into the power within that span.
The reform aspect we are talking
exactly. Even legislations when you write, I think president need to approve legislations here and there. Now I think the whole point is that UDP was trying to make sure that Barrow has a mandate, and Barrow, while UDP was trying to make sure that he have a mandate legally and they were doing it wholeheartedly, he already have in his mind
yeah jamfani metale yalon
you understand
niya pool de jamfani pool so but coming kan mol fo na kiline fo jamal lel bije mo jamal le around. So at kana pray kana wol bema. Ninke warin do bedda, I'll just tell you this story, ninke warin do UDP ke warin olog, I'm not so fast about UDP fast on that. Punye ya do kule. Punye bro do kule.
Yeah, because some people will not believe it.
Because he couldn't believe he couldn't just believe it.
No. But whenever I agree with at some level, because I said this to my friend Lamin Nkayako, UDP has unfairly treated by its own citizens. A dingol phone. Akonyoko no. Barola phone telephone java katami mobile because Baroni knew Domoro Kenyokan for over 10 years before you come to the power. He knows Solo, he knows others, he knows this and that. He could have done something better to that matter. But I want us to make a progress with regards to the issue of Rohim Malik law as a NAM. I know you might not feel comfortable to answer this question, but I want to put it to you. It is undeniable fact that Rohim Malik law, Yankuba Dabo, and Talib Bensouda and Landon Bisane, these are four pillars of United Democratic Party when it comes to institutional powerhouse. Now you have lost one, clearly. At Rohim Malik law, at this juncture, Abasirin Fensola Kanyintembo. How this is going to impact UDP going into the election 2026, December?
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure if I can narrow the conversation down to any individual person because the problem is as long as the person is within the party, as somebody who support and defend the party, I will not be here to highlight somebody in a negative light. But to be honest, election 3 years ago, I hope so no baba bake. Believe tako. Ninga Yankuba soro West Coast. Apare ka campaign Kanyolanye, ka campaign ke genuinely. Ko atle jawina be lolanye. Abi betala. Nga talib soro KMC, nga rohi soro Banjul, nga landi soro Elara. So nyina mun la jikotino. I hope comment kilimbodaje we still have 3. If waketa woda manyanta impact kala because ala election wa koleata bake but nyina da Gambia jibe grassroots kuma bara in every election. Let's not think that Gambia damal every election grassroots thing about but Gambia niaji the information gap ni mo jama access to the information to social media and other even mainstream outlets although they don't have access to them ibajela ko it is very important that namol me yalon ko wala katata mol la back on the ground to be on our side ninga most of Banjo membe campaign yo kelani ninga most of KMC nga most of Brikam nga most of malam bafla Elara political new bela political administration of UDP koto Dabo would have been very very easy pour ka tamende so munu na jigol di back so obviously I'm not gonna say go kafu talama mbere malam bafla nyadi hani ba si wara nyawnya hani ko yara kilina bije fene bonni nobody wants it. But if it happens, shall you move on?
To restore confidence.
But again, Wandifa, I still have this belief that these are very much avoidable things. Koya for Nyaming, UDP could have gone solo against Barrow and still win. You know why? Yaje Barobe Nyin told me Mbela. He is going to communities. That is already politics as usual. This is not about projects. It's politics as usual. So Niaje Bafalo ko inonkara inauguration lajana. UDP leads Banjul. UDP leads KM. UDP leads, Ngamra Mansa Kongo. UDP leads Brikama. This is like 4 major administrative areas in this country.
And then there are more than 60% of government population.
Ning Barobe Tala Tola. UDP le Benyaton Kayala Brikama. Yankuba should organize a regional tour of all the projects he and his council is initiating, and UDP take that leadership. Anytime Barrow goes to tour, UDP Faneta Tola. Landim Faneta tour organized within his entire council because we know that this year, the incumbent uses all these tours to do politics and not really to actually talk about the government and what needs to be done better. It's all politics.
Just sorry for interrupting. More believe that meet the people talk about 60%.
Exactly. So imagine if KMC is also going to do tour of projects just like the central government is doing.
But Doc, they should pay you for consultancy. You are giving them.
Oh wait, I'm trying to tell you what need. I want to one thing. The difference between I and Wandifa is that he does not like UMC. I so much love the youth. Even if UDP come to power today, look, UDP and UMC, and I still believe that these are just one. The whole point is that this is an incident that they could have avoided. Again, they could have avoided. Avoided in a sense that all these 4 people are young people. From the beginning, if it was clear that Dabo was going to run,
I just cut you short because now they should pay you for these ideas.
Amanjari nyo sabola no. Amanjari nyo sabola. The best thing that could have happened was, imagine all these 4 people. Ibebe lorin Dabo koma. Sembo diala. Ila regional to ebe doku wala je karo nyini bebe doku wala. Moro asa diaya sa kuya nya talibula kusa diaya sa kuya, he did a lot of work in KM. Yankubala kusa diaya sa kuya, he did a lot of work in BSC. You know, Rohila Kuo dolls have Kudol Dundananje, but I think she's also done some good. Again, Landing Bejana, these are all powerhouses for the UDP. Now, all these 4 plus Lamin San and Mo Kotangol, you know, if Dabo did not want to give any of these young people a chance, and then it was clear from the beginning that Dabo was going to run, it's easier to actually mobilize and keep all these people than they themselves within fighting each other as because Nila Kelo be Mandara Kelo can Dabo ede. More bebe kumole, Ntolanyama Majang.
Maro, let's
exactly. But here, what I wanted to say was that Alinyabe Barola every week in, week out, abeta tola, abeta political, and the regions are under your control. What are you doing? You are sitting in your offices?
Hello, Omar. There's one thing that you are missing. I really wish I can on Wenyama, but still now, until we'll run out of gas. You know why? Because at the end of the day, it will not be a popularity contest. It will not just a popularity contest, but also resources. Because remember, this is the president who, for 4 years in a row, or maybe more, but maybe keep bare minimum 4 years in a row. Nika Eko, ila budget, Purukataka Banko BAI, is 50 million. I hope man drop Cody.
No, you're good.
Yeah. Model ke haniyeri je ke tawle ye ko. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Dog Ila submission is a very great one. I believe with that idea.
No. What they should have done, it's not even about budget. Yalo nyimu minti. West Coast the Mantama will not require Yankuba a lot of money. You understand? It's just the UDP base coming to support. If we have a project, let's say in Tujareng, you can get a project, site checking letter. UDP be nanang, and then it all coming kabe politics because you do it, you don't do it. This is what the regime is doing, and they are getting support for it. And of course, momi along by political car 11, into the election. Either you only did it for 3 months. You think ini bekanyan where and they are abusing state resources to do all of that. Use just one car. Of course, this is your territory, is your area council that you are leading, and you are from a political party. You too also go and do your regional tour. You are not going beyond your region. You are staying within your region, and that should be within your mandate to go around your region to talk to your people, and of course look at your projects and the way they are doing. Most of they are disbursing this can you call me from disperse into all these wards.
Yeah, you can go.
This is a great thing. So go to those communities.
We only
yes, wonderful. You were trying to say something.
Yeah, the disbursement, for example, is just West Coast. Okay, but that's not the point. The point is, this is somebody me alonko nika ko budget is 35 million. Purkaraka banko be yai. Akara like 65 million spent. You understand? So it can you for the alam over Gambia losses left on the Alamantangala.
No. Regionally, let's say Mbadrong. Come Brufut Kabiri ye Fenkolo Madiana. They actually put up a market. This was actually, area council put in some money, and Yankuba was there to inaugurate it. Now, how about all your projects, Mini Alonko? But council is under the UDP. It's not going to be actually totally council's budget. Yankuba vehicular movement is council sponsored, and if these are council projects, it should be part of council's mandate to actually go and see the projects that are implemented. Baroka Minke strategically, a project will be to jail. A project will be to jail until election year. Funko project inaugurate Lalti after the political.
Yeah,
you understand?
Yeah. That would have been a clever way of
strategically they could have done that too,
as a sign of resistance, and also distract kind of. You understand? Mambala obera, but come like wala nanga for nas diamola start ngo go ninga nyulu base campaigning for UDP in all these regions. We are good, but
right.
Niko ba kela ko akamenke mbole kela project inauguration. Omar is not gonna work in the Gambia. Listen to me carefully. One. You have Talib saying to his people, "Ko, oh, mina malam bafla nyadi ni president ya lola." For example, just example on bola fuka. President ka kana be meeting basut la KMC. Let's say ni weekend nala. Adafna ka aba make sure ko ni weekend nala aita outblood. Okay? Ibe nyo kalamta ko mbe nyanta la nyulat. Talib ka ba jikre mona. Akada gara project ko la commencé me yalon ko masakunda nyanta approval kala behind the scenes somewhere. But hospital drive to julo kuntu.
But Ebola kekang already.
This is what is happening.
So now that we are in election year, it will be political kelale 11 months. It is political ke karesaba.
No, but because you know this guy is going around now 2 times a year.
So I think whenever you are getting it wrong. Yeah, sorry, it's not about a competition sort of. Dopamine for a campaign strategy. Be pronala debate chairman ni ward councilor niye wura yela na flow dundi pour kata biden ko
not just na flow abuko ni ward councilor ko kata na ward to fanko la I'm going to go round projects. UDP be invite now ward or UDP molmi baby ward or they mobilize, they bring people, they show them what they are doing. Just like Barrow is trying to show us that he's putting electricity in places and then hitting some whatever things. So at administrative level, yankobo fanera all the wards we are actually going into to mimbe santo jana ofanambe okusi fala nyindo mimbe jan, because politics is all about strategy, and then NPP strategy is alanga project to until the election yangana we deceive the people to remain in power. Now, to unseat that kind of a government, you basically need to strategize better than them. Well, when it comes to who killed the cops, we actually
make something clear here. Let me just make something clear. As a matter of expectation, in 2026, things should be way different. And I'm not going to say that I'm satisfied with the pace right now, the way that the opposition are going. I think things are going way slower than I anticipated. I'm not going to lie about that. Like, come on, I expect, you got an idea of we can debate this for example. But something like this, something new, something that we have never seen before. You understand? Something that they will not even, I expect, something in the name of men's value. People need to see something new to inspire them. You understand? And the government also needs to know, I expect something big in 2026. It should not just be conventional way of doing things. The information not disseminate the wrong social media circles.
Baranga jela foi. Ntol dalta wala 3 years ko campaign period ro ngara campaign wala ro ngatuje.
Mine try narrow down to UDP. I'm saying at matter of fact, come 2026, I expect that my disappointment when it comes to 2026. For now, I'm going to expect ways. I'm not gonna lie about that. Because I think we are facing every African incumbent. Moro jara junior Roland.
Jelon tell a point in that, because I think they will when the government is bent.
Your point a bit. I want to push your point a bit. Comrade, understand. For me, I think.
Yeah?
I think wonderful. I mean, other party strategist analyst, other party analysts on me and this is one of the most efficient strategy if UDP uses can be able to yield dividend for them. I do not know whether you really understand what Doc is trying to propose. If it was me, you guys have to pay me to put forward this suggestion to you, because
no.
This is one of the...
Let me just say something here. If Omar Kamenfo not as a matter of surprise to come in but if you start this as a matter of practice, na abajela journal and they will find a way at the court of law.
But now we are already in 2026 election year. Yalo nako baronara meeting ola bidika mai mena foye. Alala nyin chiamano bondi. Woto lambe na Marcelo lali. So now that you have UDP, because UDP has the country at hand, because all these key administrative areas are under the UDP. There is nothing that Barrow can go around Kavuka betola UDP tamin kenola kadu 4 bebe tola bulu. If financial regional toll kenola just like he is doing. And if you make a tour of 4 regions, what is left in the Gambia?
Yeah.
Whatever NPP bulu in terms of regional administration, nothing. Wale atina osilandale bele kavuka alkalo be tola dala mutala. But for me here is my question. With all the differences among UMC, UDP and Nimo Kotengol, don't you think there is an absolute necessity for the opposition to put aside whatever their differences is, to come together, because the Gambia is bigger than each of these parties individually, and collectively we definitely need to see the Gambia and the malgovernance that is in place and the self-perpetuation that is about to happen?
Well,
that we all need to calm down and probably see things in a little more reasonable way, and of course engage. I heard those things are happening, but even us, the commentators, what do you think is a way forward?
well, definitely speaking, come UDP and in UMC, sometimes, to be honest with you, I don't think it is fair to say go. Don't be a oppositional oppositional, especially UDP blame for all the tension and stuff. Just basically, let's go back to the basic. So obviously, noise special. Okay. So among the confananko noise member good or bad abe mun toilet. But memo majority all and so it is always easier to just blame UDP for everything. Let me just state that very clearly. So okay, Niko Alenga Kafunyo, Alembenga killing. Who is opposing that? None of us. But yalong UDP la critic jamabi, if you reference Niko Eko UDP la nyaton koli GB. Niko me wandi dingo butele because I banen. Menuka afo eko. Afala kuwajibi abala kuwajibi enya de la mola ulfananal. So jamabi they refuse to look up to our leadership. Ni bafla ko wandi fala rhetoric. It about UDP la position of George Nola Nyadele based on one of his appearance on social media and his rhetoric. How can that be logical? So these are some of the issues that we have. But Natanunko, Mbele after Sobeal, coming left on Clint, conversation behind the scenes, leadership to leadership, what is coming from UDP to UMC and what is coming from UMC to UDP and vice versa among all these political parties. That is the most important thing. Well, I'm going to reservation with this whole coalition talks is. Party don't call na UDP, let them consider seriously PDIs, GDC. None the more important one. Near the rest they will get them, and some are even just nice to have. So, but UMC trying to make it look like it is normal and okay for UMC and UDP to just wine and dine after all these hectic and heated debate conversation.
Political level nyama ngamol jele mini baron nenya do le baron nen e baron nen yaneng fa palaso dila sai wala ka mol nimbaro fa islam.
No be understand, but in come for what a canola at the beginning from the level that we are right now. Leadership nyato sandro jamabi je ko candidate na benta sandro na nyomuta sandro dumanko la sumayana
wandefa e manke dumanka.
So that's not on me.
Now listen to me, let me tell you this. You might try to put you might try to put yourself at a lower. I understand that's humility and all of that, but when it comes to UDP now, like the prominent names you would hear who are strong advocates for this party is Wandefa and the likes. So itala kumakang mo jamala ke lamoy wala nite mo wakilende mina jamabe wakilda wala ni mo fatande mina jama fanambe fatan wala. So the whole point becomes that of course the politicians and the leadership would do what they need to do on the ground, but of course those who are in the limelight face of the party, you agree or not, you are quite a very much recognized face of the party.
Trying to narrow it down to any individual, especially who is not part of the UDP executive, will just be unfair. Let's be realistic. Nyadon call the keka because as far as we know, ni UMC la nyadon call si de teledo ibafala dabote win no la so ni tenara jang comment you trying to make it look like al nga nyomu do al nga fenge so ni wodol la nyadon call men yalon ko ngalon ko bi ne parti fo mo be executive member leldi wala nin talibe sile tablo bu la nyoda ibafala mo le dabote kanyeno la alpha de win no la yalo ni hani ifama mo mari ngol megat la ko famate abuka kela fe bare ndingo, right? So,
right, that's true. That's true.
From the top, but ninga the data je regardless you kumol men be for that. And yeah, I think somebody referenced NPP. NPP niaja beta ra nyama nyaton ko le nyomuta. Nyaton ko wolle mol emulate men ko wolle nanno. Amanke ko molo le tare no moduma nyaton ko fon lo.
No, so but you know the difference between NPP and UDP is that UDP was built on principles. NPP was built on transactional business environment. A transactional political party is very different from a party built on principles. Because wale atina, because UDP ni moe mifona ya konditilongo nintu wanyari yenda sonna wala. But political buka kewanyama morode. You see, the transactional nature of Barrow's politics is actually giving him an edge over the opposition. And the opposition need to understand, because for you to actually unseat an incumbent, you need to understand the strategies of that incumbent and beat them on their own strategy. But this is straight and that is how we will go. I will not mention certain parts, but we have seen some parties, many along Golga Moro, Nintendo, Sila don't think. But I will Gambia.
That cannot stand as a matter of principle. This is what I'm
Exactly.
saying. I've
And we've
said it
seen
before.
parties in the Gambia. If you put them under the microscope, you realize that that is their political philosophy and it has gone nowhere. But again, a transactional leader like Barrow, Hani kamun kuma si falle farmer be. He knows that he just wants you. He gives you a position just
Omar,
not really for you to be relevant, but for you to be
it
quiet.
was review nga video ni nga siala when we were on TikTok ni far kamera nga wol fongo baro mol ya banen min ya nenge kumol fo ye kuma jawol be fam anata wolle muta ye minu nyawundal anata wolle emulate ngo ndol final ngenda aussi I have said this and the video is there.
So why can the
But
opposition, no matter how small they are, why can
maybe
they come
you are
together?
just maybe you are just validating the point coming for a contempt voice. I want
No,
come nimo do
You got voice.
no. I wonder if I
You
don't want
have
to agree with
platform.
you. You don't have a voice. You
You
have a
have
voice.
platform. You have
to be
voice.
honest, let me hear me out on this. Ninga wa mol soto no many along kwa model coming mol kamen joko the party o kombakel. Call soto kono. It makes you look attractive in a way in politics. I believe that. So more for no video. For people like
But
Fadunyol,
another
block
mhm.
coming together with those people who better at party on tole.
Another mistake I saw the UDP do in 2021 elections. Alon baroka mingi. Patil mini alon ko ni tata or candidates or mini alon ko ni tata IEC reject. He calls them immediately. Amoro ngamo IEC reject le sorry for this and this and this. Una alla fanka nga banku doku okay. While some supporters of the UDP will be laughing at these people. Because then in the audio, Mudanga Gomoro, but I don't go Barola Masakunda Mambete, I don't know Jindilal. Say, no, I made nominated a Malafa opposition or compare Lafa Baroka, Akonya Barbarola and call Akonya Janinkata, no nomination, Baro and call wishing me good luck. Akonya Dara nomination or ICA reject. Clearly he told me UDP ka Jelena. Baro and Kuman Nakonya Namabanku do work. Don't you think that was also something that UDP need to actually go out to actually cajole people because politics in yes or no. But then if you want to say
No,
that's
even
not politics, that's normal.
even 2021 party leaders should remain join Dankang. Okay, people stand with us. Even though Manka comment formerly it wasn't like a coalition, but more big ambition also. And the upcoming election also, there are candidates many along. Maybe I don't need to necessarily mention them, but definitely ni UDP betambila. All people like UDP normal and all sort. But yalo Omar, even you be focused, even fenna do andika. Wala yiniko the power of an African president. Let's not downplay that. I mean, what ninta be isa foko wandi fa bira wulura dink anyon dinkendo and was Gambia no leono. So ibe baro ning dabo baro versus dabo democracy lembang good governance lembang. Those people are not looking at that. A lot of these people have just have the tendency of going to baro because baro palaso babule. Loya dabo be mene palas di no la mola bi. So that is also a reality here. Can you remember for they are all nice and sensible, but in reality in Gambia in a very typical Gambian society, member president Jamabi they will go and align with that one. Then the opposition. In fact, we are talking about maybe Malam Falmo Lobodo Kalama because it's already a matter of public record. We already have somebody, NPP, another UDP. UDP you know what he's saying? That's what he's complaining. Fine interview. Yeah, and it's not like us.
So we have 5 minutes to go.
But in a typical Gambian society, imagine.
But again, with all that, my final question would be: the Gambian society, UDP, many be able to all knowledge because and one thing I keep telling people, it's not a promo for the UDP, but UDP is a party that actually was built through sweat, blood, tilimbaliali, buterolo, ni sayalo, ni kukotangolo. So ni mambalafano walye ite doyano la katu walye mintaki nyimbanko ka mokote mataki. And they have a base that I'm not saying that you cannot ite jijano la bare, moro, walke la mojama beje ke count kantale and then, foreabe la kuotola and then inila fuariasa siwa but then, they will never sell their souls for anything. But those numbers have not been winning elections for the UDP. That means UDP needs additional votes to come to power. How strategically would you get this needed additional votes to lead this incumbent? Through a coalition and, of course, through other means. What exactly is your own expectation before December 5th elections? Why must UDP come, and how will the UDP come into power? Or probably how will the coalition come into power? Or how will you unseat Barrow?
Well, yalo nga kuma kile na fueja. Nga wala nga muruje kam, but I can still go back there. Ne Gambia jibe. Dalilo member molbul pour que carte ofay daboy. The fact ko nga fuela, I promise kale ko he's going to serve only 5 years, not more. That alone, when that na molia, but molia carte fire. But that's maybe Nico in a typical political setting, me along ko nyanda campaign yola. Strategy should be coming from the party. Me along ko abekala kukutolent. Come ngamen for we need to be a little bit more proactive. The 2026 la kono election ya nde kabrin January, my ndenga expect ko kabrin January ambassador ka kukutolji. When it comes to politics, nothing should be normal. But member gina so noyala coalition. I think a lot of people will nimmo ko coalition man kuma ya benene kan. Coalition is significant. In fact, na analysis do la ngafo ko just like American old utamo fenko ikafanya di Cold War, during the Cold War was situation a propel nyamen to go to the moon. Yeah, to take that bold step, that very massive milestone. Ni meche ku Gambia fana comme ya jamela boje asunda because of massive men kata such as solo sande nafa. Ni mankeku another thing will have to happen again pour Gambia no le nyaayele ya itandiko fali munyanda kekela. Because a lot of people right now they are like complicit for ninkel la karol.
So obe kerine already.
Huh?
Obe kerine already. Yalong mi arna fon baro la ko kanda kam fa baka UDP le baro ke baroti. Amanka karangoti, amanka londoti, amanka nafuluti, amanka faramansoti. UDP picked Barrow out of goodwill. Against all odds, he led the coalition that unseated the government. Barrow la mansa kunda wala kontrole ko bo mi yalon kontena ta da karambon kilin nabe konyi kilin kan na kule ke nyola ko wala police wala fa andabe do ko la brikama area council. Kabe UDP ko la patila do ko molle ajo politician le ajo pour ka police wala fa.
Yeah.
Ko nyimari de anin kido nyimbe no UDP la court case to banjul.
Yeah.
UDP yata min ke mansade hanita ni wolsa kuya but from more fire ke fete la fiko wala UDP kam mi yalon ko it is now coming clearer to the entire Gambia that this is a fabricated script by the regime that is enough to unseat a government through popular votes and of course UDP but after daming for no yalon no ko eco politics as usual. What is changing in NPP's politics? Do you understand that they are NAMs even organized a nationwide tour? They are NAMs.
No, yalong you hanila social media jandanga kalamra this about 7 to 8 months ago. Yeah, started it talk masaka. So I talked to a few people within UDP improve come fe ko menbe kuno la jengo ego. Kelo nyanga ko masaka nyila sara salary jo they were paying some people up to $10,000 a little bit over that, some a little bit under that. Kabrin this
ani mo kutol dol mini jointe ka nyulungo ko ne salary le lonni woliye wala buro salary.
So wolu be omal mo somna isa come
I think we will bring Wandifa once again. Wandifa, we will bring you again. We have like I think life will go
This
down.
dude is hungry. It's actually time for iftar in New York. Let me tell you that. So the dude is hungry. I understand that.
Yeah,
but
you can put it down. Yeah, you can go ahead, Wandifa. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. For how many minutes before I G?
No, go ahead, man.
Go ahead. We have 5 minutes to wrap it up. Yeah.
Oh, that's unfortunate, man. But we're
gonna bring you back. We will definitely bring you back whenever. Be rest assured.
Yeah, so definitely speaking here. To be honest with you, I have a lot of criticisms for UDP. That some of them I will never even say on a platform like this. But to be honest with you, on sitting an African president, and I also even have this radical belief, UDP has sufficient grounds to say, unless there is an overhaul of the electoral laws and also the voter registration list, there should not even be an election. Look, Dabo himself has sat on many platforms. They have evidence of registration outside of working hours. So there is evidence they tampered with the system. We are not calling for that. Solo Sandeng died for electoral reform. What are we waiting for? So
now again, reforms are a good campaign point because Barrow neglected all the reform agendas. Solo your father Dalilo Minkang, Barrow did nothing about that. But yet again, I'm telling you that Barrow is busy doing politics every day, but the opposition is all silent.
I'm happy with the opposition being.
I thought sometimes ninga je fanambe while lang ka funde san malo na mo be ka Kenya di teng tebe jikrin ko,
No,
some people will be unifiers and others would, even though sometimes it's necessary that mole kumol fay nyoma bantanga mera ko, what is at stake oro
no.
nenyeng mol ko be continue la Gambia marala.
Within the opposition, I think we disagree on that. Maybe we'll agree to disagree on that because I don't see any. Come coming for Nico UMC, Iko UDP, Nico Bol not la Nyokan Science, and maybe if Kobe Jikan the flow, Maniko Kano, Jikan the flow, and Yosman. So, and also time is the best healer. You can get a science and time to
Okay.
put that on the internet. I think you just maybe after module you want to ridicule a certain party or maybe but science and you cook and Hana Sumaya for you want to tell us go Yenta Yoli Pala Yenta Nala wrong. Navo movie bolo can recover somebody.
MC say
I
it's
think
like
comment like last election I believe 2016 coalition can call around October. Serious so there's still time. Not coalition is the best is the option materialize la. There, it is not late. There is too much time to be honest with you. Comment not individual party battle solemn. It's getting late. You need to be on your toes right now.
But again, this is one thing that nobody could take from the UDP. It has the numbers. It's the biggest opposition party. Barrow went to a UDP tour before the coalition campaign period. What is UDP planning as a party?
It is
Exactly. So side thing. What is the UDP doing?
After October, at least after July, August, September, so it is not late. Coalition all about Bondila. Okay, was still now there is ample time, na brother. There is ample time. Coalition all about Bondila. So if you are trying to make that look like, oh my God, then UMC separate science and you understand? Even from them, it is going to be rather. They are human beings. We are human beings. It's going to be a little bit uncomfortable to have some of our partners even sit at the table and talk about this. It's going to be awkward. I think it's way too soon to try to force these two parties, the two factions. Let me say like because I don't party formally to try to bring them to the negotiation table. It is way too soon for that. The thing is, right now, we all have to strategize. And in a way, we all have to put a pressure on the government in our own way, little ways. At least they know that something is out there. Yeah, understand? We put them on the back footing. A lot of things may change. Barrow, I think he is not to be trusted, whether or not I will run. But mantra can because but there is even the possibility that Barrow will not run. So the most important factors, remember, determine the Jumala election or win. Time for all allow for science and promote.
No, I agree. I agree because that is why when I see people try to caricature or try to question surveys and opinion polls, like let's say perceptions. My perception about perception about this young man right now could change the next second, and my perception about politics this minute could change the next minute. I used to think that Barrow, is a good guy until the killing of the cops happened. And I was like, no way can I ever think that this is what it is. So, things change through time and circumstances. That I agree. But if ita mbor la bala de Gambia, yalo no komoro nimi ya kumasi nyala boy lab fula sabawa ya dani bo sorondela. Ning NPP la kuole be wala nyama. Opposition on the NPP wala nyama. NPP is on their fifth lap while the opposition is still waiting for the whistle.
I agree with you. I had this extremist ko number of la kodo akoleta kata campaign lala. He made it very clear recently ako AG be campaign kala ako hand AG agada beje.
And then he actually responded to that at one point and say iko na data tola wala fanan betala tola wala oye pare ko adabe to jamala kala nyina sam. Thank you. So wala atin nang ko Nita ko itabe from Kola, you are just sitting and say, maybe if become organize a regional tour is going to be taxpayers' waste of money.
I think somebody like you, we need you in UDP. You come and join the radical but silent faction. We put pressure on the people to do something.
Don't give them ideas. Don't give them ideas. What if we have 3
you know
minutes?
what? I want the opposition to win. That's my point. But one if we will come back with you another time. It was good to have this conversation with you.
So what if your last statement?
Are you okay?
No. This guy, I'm not trusting him. I think sometimes he's very man for NPP fan, but I am my NPP support. Naga NPP support platform. But he is neutral. That's one thing I like about him. We try to be neutral in here, but I clearly tell people I don't support the NPP. That's one thing that is very clear. I have nothing to do with the NPP. I am an advocate for the opposition to come together.
Okay,
but of course, I don't align with people who block me. Karoni wol nara mansa kunda wol benda soron.
But akamda yankuba le block wa be di mbakel.
Ha wo mto nyalti de mbuka je map.
Yala it's something personal level, so I ignored it deliberately. No, ngamwele kabila. I have my rules when it comes to defending somebody who is a public official. People have their rights, okay? But now that we're having this conversation, I just want to tell you something. Filmmaking at personal level, I don't think we should take it too far. You know, it looks like a monk a block like what I'm chairman of the Americans, right?
No, 2017 wouldn't be. But of course, but I'm a strong supporter. I'm a strong supporter of the good things that young. You know what? Okay, let me tell you what really happened. I don't think that's very personal. Come, ibe more support can come like every day. I'm like, Wandifa is doing great. What he's doing is great. You're supporting. You're even trying to add your ideas to through his other people. Nali nyinka kela tenne. Jeki kabo ko kare nyina safe ko bar ko. Bar kare fong la safe ro de mo bo fom fon nande bu koje.
But you cannot blame him.
Yena kalam da ko no mari fong yara we de kom fa amuna nyina be kere. Okay,
Talibia more blog many along recently. But I think there is a misconception here. Molka kudole mix. Yeah, a private page, he has right. I believe.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't have any problem with that.
Page, you are not blocked there.
No, nobody would. That's a public. I don't think that's even possible. I think that's a great guy doing a great job.
Somebody with a voice like yours, neither nunko come even yamentem be. I want to believe for you. But
no, I'm still a big
private
supporter.
Citizens. I let you block. Right. So it happens. People block one another. You understand? So, but you cannot hold on to that and drag it along with you as a weapon.
But anyway, I'm still a big supporter of Yankoba. To be honest with you, like I don't
advocate for unblock.
I don't hold qualms. What I'm trying to tell you is Yankuba has his style of politics.
You did it 3, 4, 5 times here.
No, I just try to throw jabs sometimes.
Talibia Safia to blog and I
Safia
the Juve. Also a young person like you advocacy. Deliberately. And that's somebody that political analyst.
That one is attacking Yankuba. He's attacking Talib. I never attack Yankuba. But the whole point is that I think he's doing well. The best thing that could have happened.
People see me as a critic of Talib, but I'm unblocked. You know why? Because I don't go to his page. I don't tag him because he felt bigger. So maybe he's okay with that. Okay. So, but maybe you engage with somebody at a personal level. Now, a block. You should not hold new format in a public office. You have to crucify level. It's going to
no. I'm not trying to crucify anybody for. But what I'm trying to say is, I will not support somebody who could easily block me because they could easily jail me if they become president. And I know that all of these young people are after their own political ambition. Moro, most of the there are underlying political ambitions among all these people, and I think they have a right to it.
What is more important?
I think the opposition should win, and me joining UDP or joining any other political party like any other it still doesn't change the fact. But I'll be na nyoka ndukarenda mo be mane ne wala because Adam way to that is why you will not see me criticize any of this existing opposition party because for me I want them to come together.
Methodology and the time, sometimes we can debate that, but we have to criticize public officials. Come on. But our host is looking at a very confusing eye. I think we need to just hand over.
This guy is super hungry, man. Bro, like,
not really though, but life will go down soon because
anyway. We would have this conversation again. It was good having this conversation, and trust me, I am a keen follower of what you do. Keep doing what you do. Not all the time that I support some of the things, but of course, that is diversity and people with their opinions, and of course the way they view things, and that is basically what we need to tolerate in a democratic space. I think UDP is a formidable political party.
He's an absolutist when it comes to free speech. I don't infringe anyone's, and I don't expect anyone to infringe mine as well. I only expect respect of my right, and I respect everybody's right to express themselves the way they feel.
That's right.
Thank you, Wandifa. Thank you so much for being here with me. I am very happy to host you, Wandifa. I am very happy to host you today, even though dog is throwing jams on me as of now. This is a great
Ala
show.
baraka.
But I'm bachelor for married, so I know they might finish the food and he might not eat.
Was keno ba tabiro
Dog,
ko la ko.
we,
Ala ka
we are we are we are putting this down. So whenever, thank you so much for being here, and those of you
Goodbye.
watching us, thank you
Omar
so
baraka.
much. And then you can continue subscribing to our channel. Thank you.
Thank you.